Hey guys, welcome. Happy Tuesday. Brian Davis and Denny Sipley here from Spark Rental, and we are super excited to have Levi Kushnir with us today from Stable Holdings. Levi, welcome.
Thank you. Uh, Lovely to be here.
Well,
It's nice to have you.
That's right. As always, we keep these conversations super casual and relaxed. So, as you guys join us in the audience, feel free to fire questions in the chat for Levi, for us. We want to keep this as much of a dialogue as possible, not a diatribe. So, on that note, let's dive right in. Levi, we understand that your first real estate deal was back when you were 18, 19, and you did some creative financing with it. So walk us through exactly how that worked, because it's definitely more advanced than the typical teenager is doing with real estate deals.
Um, I was 19. Yeah. I was in the mortgage business. Um, I was still single at the time. We One of the people I worked for in the industry uh, was familiar with an area in Long Island called Elmont, New York, right near the Belmont racetrack, um, which is now the UBS Arena. Um, Anyways, I saved up some money. I was selling some loans at the time. I was quite good at it, and really wasn't sure what to do with it. Anyways, we got into this conversation, and he actually owned two rental properties at the time in Almont. So he told me to check out this area. Um, so we went out there on a weekend, and we we got in touch with this REO broker, and we found this three family home. Um, so I found the three family home, and it really was funny looking home. It was like a home that had it was like a giant hole in the middle with a almost looked like a growth coming out of the side. It was just, and it was for sale, and it was for 200 and I think $75,000 at the time, and we settled on 250. And there were two tenants at the time.
Oh wow!
And my initial plan was to buy, fix, and sell the property. So I still remember to this day I was looking for some money to buy the home. So I had at the time $35,000, but I needed an additional 50 after closing costs and all these different things. Um, and I found a an uncle of mine, and I sold him the deal,
Wow!
and I told him I would give him 12% on his money. Um,
Just out of curiosity, how? I mean, you were pretty young, so how did you know how to orchestrate all
so
of
I was in the
this?
mortgage business at this time for about a year and a half. Um,
Okay,
I was
that's
getting an idea
young.
of the numbers. I wasn't completely blind on this. I I had an idea. All right. I also knew how to comp out properties at this time. Um, and additionally, I knew what rents were in the area. So um, I did get an appraisal on the property, and I knew what each unit would rent for. And my thinking was that I would definitely, once I had all three of these units full, I'd be able to flip this property, make all the money back, pay back my uncle with his return. Um, and I still remember I found this contractor. He was a part-time contractor, part-time fireman. His name was Sal. And Sal met me at the property, and he gave me a quote. I think it was like a $25,000 to put in the kitchen, redo some grout, and odds and ends. And there was a landscaper across the street who I called over and do some work for us. Sure enough, we redo the house. One of the best stories yet. The hard money guys on this deal. My first hard money loan charged me 6 and 14, 6 points and 14%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my gosh!
yeah, this was my first hard money loan. Um, I was just so excited to get approved. I didn't even know. Listen, I didn't even go to the hard money lender direct. I used a hard money broker. So the hard money guy charged me 2 points on top of the hard money lenders who charged me 4. So, I mean, talk about expensive money. So here I am. I get this loan. I buy the property. It's fully rented, and it's renovated. And I stick a sign in the ground. We're gonna sell it. Goes to market. Nothing doing. No one wanted to buy this home. And I thought this is going to be a great property. I mean, who wouldn't want to buy a home, live in it, and then be able to make additional income? No one wanted
House
it.
hacking. Yeah.
And I started freaking out. What am I going to do? And how long could I survive these ridiculous hard money payments?
Right.
It was like, like $5 million a month payments for this $250,000 home. It was absurd.
Right, and you owed money on the down payment too, because you borrowed the down payment from your uncle at 12%.
And
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I had to make this. And then I stopped and I was like, you know what? I'm in the mortgage business. And I changed plans immediately. I found tenants for each unit. Boom, boom, boom. Got units fully rented out, and I refinanced the property. And I cashed out on the property. And albeit I wasn't able to get all of my money out, I was able to pull out all of my uncle's money.
Right, so you could get that
I got
albatross
all his
off of
money
your
back.
neck. Yeah.
Which was a huge pressure off of me. And one of the greatest things I learned from then on was my investors always came first.
Yeah.
Always. Family, not family, didn't matter. And his money came out first. And I paid him back and started collecting rent, and I still gave him his rate of return. One of the tenants moved into the property on a rent-to-own basis. And what I did with her was, she had bad credit, but she agreed that every month she would pay me an additional $500 of rent to go towards the down payment. And at the end of 2 years, if her credit was better, those $500 would be the down payment. So it would be an addition, 10 grand roughly, or $14,000, which would be her down payment. And if not, it would just be towards rent. We agreed on a purchase price. I believe it was $450 at the time in 2 years. And if her credit was good enough, she would close. And sure enough, at the end of 2 years, her credit was good enough, and it worked out. Believe it or not, That's worked crazy. Out. This rent-to-own story happened to work. The tenant got her mortgage. The money actually, we documented it correctly. When you go for a mortgage and people do rent-to-own, they just give the extra money. They don't, but we documented each $500 properly so that she was able to show it to the underwriters properly to show that it was used towards a down payment. And she closed on the home. Today, this same home is worth in the 700s.
I'm sure.
So she did well for herself, and great family. I still remember them very well. And that was my first property. So
how did you know how to structure a lease purchase deal? I mean, did you research it, or you just...
A rent to own. So by that time, I must have had the property so I tried selling it for a few months. But remember, by that point, I already picked up my third property, because what happened was we bought it, put it on the market, but then what? I wasn't just sitting around not doing anything else. I wanted to get going. So the same realtor who sold us that house approached us and said, hey, I have another property here in Valley Stream, which is neighboring Elmont. Or that was our second property. And then he brought us a third property I believe also in Elmont. So we started getting into, and as we started doing it, I started getting much more involved in the business. Remember, my first mentor at the time was this guy named Josh Cantwell. Uh, Started watching tons of YouTube videos of this guy. And I remember something about, I must have saw something about lease to own, rent to own. And I was like, that sounds like a cool idea. So by this time, we were already getting into the business to the point where it wasn't like this was like the first month I put the house on the market. It just came to my head. We were already into this like 6-7 months where, and I was already in the mortgage business for about a year and a half. The mortgage business gave me a huge leg up in the industry. I would say even more than a real estate agent, being in the mortgage industry as a loan officer teaches you so much about this business. Knowing numbers, knowing the financing, it encapsulates so much of this industry. Besides all the crap that mortgage loan officers go through just to close a deal, besides all that, the hardship that it teaches you to go through, the practicality, the skills you learn in the mortgage industry teach you so much about, especially in the residential business.
Yeah, I started my
Brian knows all
career
about
in,
that. Yep.
yeah, I started as a loan officer as well in my career in real estate, and it teaches you how to think like a lender, which later helps you go out and get financing as an investor. So yeah, being able to think like a lender really does give you a leg up as a real estate investor. So now you have invested, you've flipped hundreds of houses in the intervening years. So tell us about how you scaled up from that very first deal that you did the creative financing on, and then you refinanced and did the lease purchase deal. So how did you scale from that one deal up to where you are today? Having flipped hundreds of houses, a successful real estate developer. Walk us through some of that early scaling and what has changed in your strategy over the years.
So, so what happens is you do your first deal. So back then, this is about 8 years ago, or around that, more, 9 REO agents were still like a thing. They would come over to you with a deal. Then you started getting a little bit more comfortable. They'd start bringing you more deals. Then it went, you know what? We got to start finding our own deals. We can't rely on these agents, because agents started getting, they started building like 1 or 2 relationships, or they started getting 2, just sending lists out to groups of people, and it was just impossible to get deals. So you start going to auctions. All right, auctions started working. Go to auctions. I remember we used to go to auctions, and you could basically sit wherever you wanted. We used to go to auctions, and I could go to the front, I could go to the back. The auctioneer knew my name. You could go to auction, basically get 1-2 properties a month, no problem. All of a sudden, auctions started becoming packed, standing room only. Not only standing room, it got so full, you'd have to wait outside the auction house. So then that's when we started getting into direct to seller marketing. And through each of these levels, we started acquiring more deals. By 2019, so up until 2019, I was doing this with a partner. At that year, I'd say we were up to, I don't know, we were doing dozens of homes, several homes a month. At 2019, we split. And that's when I formed Stable Holdings on my own. And that's when I went full gear in direct to seller marketing and really put in all systems a go in setting up an acquisitions team, a dispositions team. So basically the way we get our deals now is we I purchase tons and tons of predictive data. So predictive data is basically, there are companies that will provide you with tons of data on someone who's likely to sell a property. That could be anyone who files for a divorce to anyone who's, lived in the same home, paying the same 30-year mortgage for 25 years. He's more likely to sell a property than, say, someone who's only been living in a home for 5 years and paying a 30-year mortgage for 5 years. He's more likely to sell. So these companies have hundreds of data points, hundreds. So we'll buy these lists. I'll get sent to me every quarter anywhere from 50 to 100,000 leads per county that I work in. So right now we're working the entire Long Island. We're in upstate New York. We're in several counties in New Jersey. We're in Florida, Texas, Arizona.
Oh, wow.
We're expanding. Like I was telling Brian a little earlier prior to the show, I am looking to get into Colorado as well as Massachusetts, Connecticut. The sky's the limit. I'm looking to take this, like, I want to be all 50 states.
Now, are you primarily like smaller single family homes or small multi-units, or have you ventured into larger communities?
It's primarily 1 to 4 family homes.
Okay.
And do you reach out to these sellers through direct mail or through?
We found that the best way to do it is, I like using texting the best. Texting and calling I find to be the most efficient way and the best ROI, return on investment. You have to make sure to do it legally though, and to do it right. And you have to make, each state has like their own nuances, but there are softwares that, literally as you upload everyone's number, there are softwares that will pull away the numbers that you're not allowed to text. And there are softwares that will, so you have to make sure you're doing it the right way, but texting by far is the most potent way to reach someone. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. Direct mail, they found, and they do studies on this all the time. They found that I think you have to mail someone 6 times to get a response. So if you're doing the amount of volume that I want to be doing, that's a lot of mail.
It is.
And I'm also not at the point yet where I have institutional money backing me yet. When I am at that point, which I hope to be soon, then that could very well become an option. And I do believe once that is an option, at that point, there'll be nothing in my way. But until then, texting is absolutely fine. It gets the results you need. And phone calls are also fine.
Now, the data that you buy that gives you a list of prospective sellers who are more likely to be willing to sell than the average homeowner, does that data include the homeowner's phone number, or do you have to go out and try to track that down separately?
That's a good question. So no, the data is only a name and an address.
Okay.
I then have the option of what I want to get from it. So I always get phone numbers. I always get email addresses.
So you buy it from the same service, you just pay a little extra for it?
No. I have a different company that I use for skip tracing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, bulk skip tracing we do. And there's several different companies you could use. Everyone has their own, there are several guys in this business, and you find that everyone has their own special sauce. On my website, I have a little button that says Levi's Tools, and I mentioned there which skip tracing company I like using, and I just found that they're spot on. It's a numbers game. Everything in this business is a numbers game. No pun intended, but you get their number, but even how many of those numbers are going to be correct is a numbers game. So for every 100 numbers you get, there's a percentage of them that are going to be off, a percentage of them that are going to be correct. But we always pull cell phone numbers, email addresses, and we also get vacant absentee landlords. So for example, if I were to own a property in Virginia, but I live here in Long Island, I want to make sure to get my address in Long Island, because if I do want to send a postcard, I want to mail me in Long Island. I don't want to mail my tenants in Virginia, right?
Right.
So we also get that information. The more information you skip trace, the more expensive the skip trace is.
Mm.
But I will tell you, the biggest waste of money is cheap skip tracing that you don't spend a lot of money on.
Because then you're wasting time.
And that is just throwing money, you know, in the toilet. You might as well flush money down the toilet. And that, you know, while we're on that subject, bad marketing. I think one of the things I've learned about in this business is about throwing good money after bad money. And I've learned that from me specifically has been through PPC, pay-per-click advertising. I spend several hundreds of thousands of dollars on PPC. Between, let's say, around $300,000 in a few years, not in 1 year, but in a few years. Okay, it wasn't working. It was not working, and I kept going, I couldn't stop. Why couldn't I stop? Because I already spent so much money. I already spent.
Sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah, I couldn't stop. Because I already spent. You know, I just spent $75,000. I just need one lead. It was almost like gambling. It was almost like an addiction.
Wow.
You don't throw good money after bad money. You need to stop at certain points. You need to have a limit to when you stop, because that new money coming in, that's good money. That could be used on new lists. That could be used on new text messaging. That could be used on something that might work. That could be used on a new revenue stream. For me, at this time, PPC was bad money. At this time, for whatever reason, it wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It was tried, and it was not true. I had to stop. And I think a big lesson I learned from that was don't throw good money after bad money. And I think all said and done, I don't think I came out. I think I probably came out with a loss on PPC, not a huge loss because I ended up closing some deals, but it's something that I definitely learned in the long run was, again, that don't throw good money after bad money, Levi. So that's something that, yeah.
Now, when you buy this data of likely sellers, what kind of costs do you incur? I mean, for an investor out there who's thinking about modeling this strategy, going out, buying this sort of data, what kind of costs can they expect?
On the data end?
Yeah, for both the initial homeowner data and then also the skip tracing data, the contact data for
sure.
Phone numbers, emails, all that.
So there are different lists. I mean, we have some list providers that could charge upwards of $30,000 a list annually per county. There are some list providers that you could pull for $100. You have to know, I mean, so many different levels here, depending on the state you're in, the state you're in applies to two things: the actual physical state you're in, and also the state you're in as an investor, financially, your business, and a few different things. I wouldn't go spend $30,000 on a list unless you have a system in place. When I say systems in place, you need to have the ability to take that list and fully, get it done, or else, again, that's throwing really good money in the garbage.
I have to ask, I mean, you have all these systems now in place and whatnot, but and obviously you had to make some mistakes to get to where you are, but how, like the whole list building and using these companies, what led you to that?
I followed people. People are so it's unreal. The amount of people and cynicism you get on people saying, a mentor, I should work with someone, or I should hire a coach, or you see a lot of that. For every person who actually signs up, you know how much cynicism there's out there? What do people pay for college to go get a worthless degree? I'm not, God forbid, if it's someone a passion and you go get it and you go to school and make a living for it, then God bless. But what if someone go to college, pays 50, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then doesn't use it, and someone goes and then makes fun of someone who pays $10,000 to someone who learns how to use a system, learns how to use a CRM, learns how to borrow money, learns how to talk the talk, learns how to walk the walk, and he learns how to start a business, and someone goes, why should I pay you any amount of money for your time to talk to me and learn how to run a business? What do you know? Do you know how often we hear that? We hear that. I can't even tell you how many times. And it's not that I got a coach. I speak to people.
That's awesome.
I was one of those guys who, after I flipped my first deal, sent a picture of my check so I would get my $1,000 back for signing up for a course. I did that.
Oh, okay.
People think, oh, no one does that. I did it. So to answer your question, I learned how to do it because I actually took the courses and I applied what I learned and did it.
Yeah, education is expensive, whether you're talking time, money, usually both.
Learning from mistakes.
Learning from mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've made many, many expensive real estate mistakes over the years, and lost many tens of thousands of dollars, but I kept at it so that money, it wasn't really losses, it was the cost of tuition, right? It was the cost of education to learn how to go out and do better next time. So
100%. And again, just to reiterate what I said before, no degree is worthless. It's important that we all just come full circle here and understand that obviously if someone goes through schooling and appreciates what they do, then no amount of money could be put on that. And everyone should, go after their passions, of course. I'm just saying that you have people who spend a lot of money on coaching in this business, and it works. If you find the right person to do it with, it works.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So Levi, where can people connect with you now? Where can they connect with you in Stable Holdings?
Well, you can always go on my website. You can click any of the links there. You'll get in touch with us. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Stableholdings.com. I'm all over the place. My videos are online. If you want to reach me, you can reach me. I'm on Facebook. I'm all over the place. Not a hard guy to reach.
Well, Levi, we want to be respectful of your time. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was a great conversation, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.
Yeah, thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you.
God bless.
All right, guys.
Same
Have a
here.
great week. We'll catch you next Tuesday.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.